Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on a 36-year-old from Linwood, Washington, USA, a seventh rounder to the Phoenix Coyotes. His hockey journey took him to the USA, Canada, Wales, England, Australia, and Scotland. He returns to the shed for his hat-trick appearance after episode 64 and 118, the Clan Chat, have combined for 2,599 goals, plays, or listens. He is one of the nicest guys in the world off the ice. For example, East Coast Hockey League Community Service Award winner, but he is a meanie weenie on the ice. For example, 2011-12, the EIHL's most penalized player in the Shed's honey hole, Cardiff Wales, with 296 penalty minutes. And he once suplexed me. He would do anything for his teammates and was a captain at Western Michigan University, where he ran amok at the U Club. Welcome to the Shed, Chris Frank.
Whoop, whoop. Hi, Wally.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for jumping on here. Bubbles bailed. What a punk.
I know. I miss that guy. And the
So
worst
do
part
I was so jacked up to talk to him. Man. What a punk.
He's the best. When I was playing in Vegas, we met up a couple times when we would end up playing against Utah, the Grizzlies. And had some really random nights after games, and we had a game the next day and somehow ended up on people's roofs at a house party because the bars closed so early in Salt Lake. And
Bubbles would know the people. He'd know where to go, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, he knew some interesting people for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
It was good times.
I miss that guy. He was my next door. He moves from Utah to Elmira, Ontario, and moves in next door to my parents with the Billets. And
oh no way.
Yeah, and then I go to Western Michigan, and then he comes for his recruiting trip, and I'm the one that takes him out. And then he comes and moves in next door to me in Kalamazoo. And I thought he was coming to the Shed. And then he sobered up today after a wedding last night.
Oh.
Says he's not a podcast guy. Well, Kevin, you are a podcast guy. You would be hilarious, right?
He would be. He'd be unbelievable on this. And it breaks my heart a little bit now because I can't listen to my own episodes, so now I don't have anything to listen to when your next episode is supposed to come out.
Oh, you have to. You got to listen to it. Great memories.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so yeah, I reached out to you after Bubbles bailed today, and I'm like, last night the wife's gone. She's living it up. She's in Nashville, Elton John concert right now, and right now. And anyways, I got the kids. I got him to bed last night and I didn't have anything booked. And I'm like, what am I doing? I just sat there and I didn't do anything. It was so boring.
Well, I mean, you're probably just wearing one of your many hats you wear. Dad, coach.
We got to get into that. We got to talk about my first practice. Okay. Yeah. Before we get into your stuff, I had my first under 9 gals practice.
Okay.
And some of the girls, when you see them at the rink, they're not always like having fun and maybe like loving hockey. So the first practice, I was like, I was thinking, because I got the bottom half of the players, right? There was a tryout and then I got the bottom half. And, some of them are just starting out here. And I'm like, I just want to make it fun. And I tell you, the people in the crowd probably thought I'd lost my mind, but we had a lot of fun. And those girls were... So it turned into pushing each other on chairs, pulling each other like on the sticks. But like the first thing I said, I'm like, all right, I'm the coach, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, I want you girls to have fun. And I'm like, the first drill for 5 minutes is do whatever you want.
I love it.
And what a mess. There was kids flying everywhere.
Oh yeah. So that's awesome. I'm actually really interested in that because obviously I'm going to try and rope in Millie, who just turned 3 this past week, into hockey. I got her first set of gear about a month and a half ago and took her out for her first time, and it was awesome. So down the road, definitely plan on coaching her and probably a girls team too, I imagine. But yeah, I mean, I've been coaching the beginners for a few years and then 8U for the last few years, and I love it. I love the age group.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Especially the beginners. I mean, we're doing all the same stuff you're saying. Like we're doing hand soccer. We're bringing balloons on the ice. Like
after So after my do whatever you want, we jumped right into follow the leader, and
yeah.
each kid had a turn. But then there's an interesting one for me. There's a gal that came out. I don't generally skated before, and her skates had no ankle support, like none. So I thought that she may perhaps break her ankle, or it was in the process of breaking, watching, and it looked very painful. And the one girl's trying to pull her down the ice, and like her skate was literally like folded in, and I like the girl couldn't even, it hurt. It looked so painful. So I go up to shed guy Kent, my assistant coach, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, that girl's skate's broken and I can't watch this, but I don't know who the parents are. I've never met them. This is the first practice. And I'm like, but she needs to get different skates on. And I'm like, I can't watch this. And then he ended up finding the dad, who concurred with my thoughts, and we got her and Zoe's backup pair. But I tell you, it's exciting stuff going out there for practice.
It's wild. That's hilarious you brought that up, because so I've been doing the learn to play or beginners down here for a few years now. So I've seen the progression of like, and now that I'm in my third year of AU with Jack, I've seen them from when they can't skate to years later, and it's been great because I run both of those at the rinks. So like the first year of AU, it was like the third month into the season, and the kids still couldn't stop. And so I remember going up to one of the assistant coaches being like, man, what are they teaching these kids? Like, they still can't stop. And then I took a second and I was like, oh, I'm the dude responsible because I'm coaching the beginners. So then like, now I'm like tailoring what I'm teaching the beginners at that point. So we actually had one kid who's doing the same exact thing you said, like ankles almost touching the ice.
Yeah.
And he's 8, so he's just got into 8U. And so now I'm like, okay, you know what? Learning curve here. I gotta teach more balance work. And so like I totally changed how we do the beginners with more balance and agility drills. And then the very next practice after we change all this learn to play program stuff, one of the coaches comes up to me and saw the kid. He's like, hey, dude, I don't know if you know this, but the kid's skates, all the plastic on the skates are completely falling off. They're broken. So like, moral of the story is I changed an entire program based off the thinking that this kid was ankle bending when in fact he was completely fine. It was just his skates were broken, and now he's got normal skates and he's completely fine. So
well, oh man, I tell you, it's the whole thing's very interesting. Like for me, I always had at the end of practice with the boys last year, like the last 10 minutes would be like competing, like small area game, like, giving her tits. And this year, like they have no interest in competing. Like they're a team. They just want to play. They're just playing.
Cool though. I find that so far, at least the girls that have come through ours are, they pick things up faster, and I think it's because they can concentrate better than boys that age.
Well, I think that like the top kids, the tier 1 team, like those practices are looking different than what we're doing. I think
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah,
and attention spans to hockey, like how into it they are, right? Like, it's. I think I'm really challenging myself this season. So I gotta keep them entertained, and my goal as a coach this season will be that they all have fun and sign up next year. If they all sign up next year, I'll feel like I did her,
Absolutely, man. That's exactly
that's my championship this year.
And if they win, it feels good though. It feels good.
Right. If they keep score. I don't even know if we're doing that. Not sure. But yeah, so I couldn't even get a manager though. So I get to even schedule the games, find the tournaments, the hotels. Yeah, I'm in one.
Oh, you really are. I got lucky. I got
it was funny though. I brought it up, dude. Like in my parent meeting, like really like someone to help out, be the manager. Like I got a lot going on in my life, and like I saw people like look up in the corner and like turn around, and they're like, don't look at me. Don't look at me.
No.
It's like, okay. God. And I got this. No worries.
That's probably the hardest job. I mean,
that's the stuff I don't like.
I delegate. That's exactly.
I gotta set up shed time. I don't need to set up hotels. Let somebody else do that.
You just gotta tell them, Wally. Just say, hey, I heard you're good at this.
I already got the tournaments locked out. I'm a bit.
You're the man.
Yeah, I just give her. But anyways, shout out to Chase Cosgrove tonight. Colby played against Port Elgin, and Colby's a little player too. But the kid for Port Elgin, I like you say, you see him when they're young to older. I haven't seen this kid play in a couple years, and yeah, he's got her. He came in and took like a snapper, but it was like the new school, like whip, like technology. And like he shot her top titties, and whoa, I was impressed to the point where I literally walked over to the old man after, I think this was a second goal. He scored the first shift of the game, and then he scores this top corner one. I think he had 3 today, but after the second one, I see the shot. I literally walked around the arena to his old man. I'm like, how do you spell Chase? I'm like, I'm posting something about this kid because he was impressive shot and impressed, like everything he did. He was an impressive player today. So there you go.
Awesome, man.
Way to go, Chase. You know,
boy, Chase.
And I said last episode or sometime, I can't keep up anymore, but I said I'm gonna help the people from small town Ontario that don't get their names out in the hockey world. Like I feel like I didn't get my name out that well playing in Elmira, Ontario. Well, fellas, I got your back, right?
Nice. Come on, Chase. Let's do this, buddy.
Okay. Anywho, thanks for stepping up tonight. That's what I said to you. I was like, Broncos always have each other's backs, right?
I mean, you really guilted me into it, but absolutely.
You had no choice after that, eh?
Yeah. Throwing out the alumni thing. I love
it. So it's, you know, it's weird how small the hockey world is when you're in your shed, but like we have you're a part of a lot of the shed, right? Like you got Western Michigan, you're Cardiff, you know, the EIHL in general with Glasgow. Like, man, you're right in the honey hole of the shed.
Yeah, man. It was that's why I enjoy listening. I honestly listen to almost every episode just because almost every episode is someone
weak.
someone I played against or played with at some point. And so it's just fun to hear their stories.
Oh yeah.
And just their viewpoints on something that happened while I was in the league that I remember differently. It's just cool to hear it.
Right. And what goes on in each team's locker room, it's like they all have hilarious stories, but things just happen different, and every team kind of gets structured differently based on who they recruit, right? And
for sure.
You know who is another shed guy that was going to step up tonight, but had other engagements, was Silky Smooth Steve Silver.
No way.
Yeah, he is confirmed shed guy, and he's going to come on.
That will be an awesome one, Silky Smooth.
Yeah,
man, yeah, it was good seeing him at the 10-year. Which you're going to be going to.
So you went to a reunion back there?
It was a couple of years ago. Yeah, we went to our 10-year reunion, and that was the first time I think I'd seen like Vex and Clacker and Silky since we graduated. I mean, I've seen Gally quite a few times since.
I know it's bizarre. Yeah. Like you see each other every day for 4 years, and then you feel like it's always going to be like that. And then life happens.
It happens and it goes fast.
But like, we really do need to go back. My whole class like really hasn't been back. I had a message and this is what's cool about the shed, right? Is people write to me about random stuff that they hear me talk about. Was like Brian Hartman, who's my buddy from the Niagara fellas, the Purple Eagles. He went there and he writes to me, says, I'm in Kalamazoo for the weekend. Where should I go eat? And I'm like, I haven't been there since 2006. I don't know. I think things have probably changed.
You want a good chicken parm? Go to, what was it? Burdick's?
Was that Burdick's? Well, Burdick's was the place with the cheese bread, like stuffed. The bread was stuffed with cheese.
Okay. Yeah.
Bread rolls with cheese in the middle. It was wonderful. You dipped it in the marinara, you know?
That, and then wherever the chicken parm, the heavy chicken parm was, really contributed to a good nap before the game and a slow start as well.
So that brings up another story then. Speaking of napping, is I was an incredible napper. When I was a hockey player, I was incredible at it. I could nap for hours, and I can only do droolers now. I can only lay down during the day till like I'm just about to fall asleep, and like that I'm like, okay, back at her. It's like tonight, the kids like I've had a weekend. It's been busy with, doing everything. And then I'm like, I'm taking an hour nap here. Well, I didn't really fall asleep,
Your brain just doesn't shut off. This real world stuff is just
Right. It's
I
different,
swear I've
isn't it?
turned ADHD, whereas not back then there really weren't any cares in the world. And
No,
now
and
I
we'd
think
have
about
all
what I need to
day
get
to
done.
like not do that much, man.
Yeah, it was the best.
It was It's so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh. Anyways, okay. What are you doing now again? Where and what are you doing now?
Oh man. So yeah.
You're in the
hockey-
medical device sales, aren't you? Like all these punks. Everybody's
Close.
into this shit.
I'm in pharmaceuticals. Actually,
Oh, sorry.
I just changed jobs with a new company that we're launching a new antidepressant. So it's pretty exciting. So I'm going through all the Zoom trainings, which isn't the most exciting, but yeah, it's gonna be wild because I went from having a territory of about a 2-hour radius to now I have pretty much all of like Seattle greater Seattle area, but I also have Alaska.
Ooh. So you're gonna have to go up there.
Yeah, a few times for sure.
So like when you're doing that, where are you going? Who are you going to see? Hospitals?
No, I don't really think I'll spend too much time there. It's a lot of like the private psychiatry offices. Yeah.
Sounds riveting.
Actually, psychiatry is really fun in the sense of like the way they think, and the psychiatric nurse practitioners and physician assistants, they think so differently than say like a neurologist or primary care physician, and the conversations get really wild and weird, and like they always have animals, so there's always animals buzzing around.
Well, you mean like they're working on the animals to like figure shit out, like research?
No, like they just have animals, like dogs.
They like animals.
Running. Yeah. Well, it's like what is the emotional support dog on planes kind of thing. So it's like a calming thing. So they'll have wiener dogs and schnauzers, and literally wiener dogs are jumping up on the table while I'm trying to explain this clinical data and trying to eat my lunch, and they'll just start licking my lunch, yet I have to keep selling because I only have 5 minutes. So it gets pretty
animals do. I guess they do. People like animals, right?
People like animals a lot more than they like people.
The shed out of Chipmunk throughout this summer, right? He runs right in the shed with me. He'll come right in, run around my feet, run back out. We're buddies. Yeah. And then we had a fox that would live on our back deck, on my, what are they called? Pallet couch I made.
Did you make one of those?
Yeah, and then there was a rug on it for the winter there, and the fox made it its bed. So that was neat.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's cool that you're in an area like that. We're kind of in a similar area, kind of out there where we have like elk in our backyard. And
elk, I've never even seen one.
They're monsters, dude. It's wild. But it's cool. They're not in my shed though.
Where are you?
So we live in North Bend now. So it's like 35 minutes east of Seattle, kind of by the Snoqualmie Pass.
I've never been out there. I don't know anything about it.
You don't know anything I'm saying right now. It's in the woods.
I've learned a lot of stuff about geography in my shed though.
Yeah. We're kind of in the mountains, pretty close to them. Like
right.
In the thicket. Yeah.
And that's, how far is that from Vancouver?
We're probably like 2.5 hours.
Right.
South of Vancouver. Yeah.
So that wasn't a dumb question. Pretty close.
Yeah, it was a solid question, man. We spent a lot of time up there.
Beautiful. Okay. So speaking of the small hockey world, and like I don't know what we talked about last time we talked one-on-one, right? So I have no clue. I feel like I have a blank slate today and I could talk about whatever I want. The Cowichan Valley Capitals. So was that your tie to Ryan Finnerty talking small world hockey? Because he was also a player there, was he not?
He was older. So he moved on by the time I got there. I think he was in major junior or probably.
But is it like the Sugar Kings where like you know each other's names because you played for the Elmira Sugar Kings?
I don't think he knew my name, but I knew his name because he was up on the wall of all the rosters in the locker room. And then for whatever reason, and he was kind of a legend there too. Like people would talk about Finner because Finner was.
I hope he doesn't hear that. I hope he doesn't listen to this episode. What a punk.
I mean, the guy scored goals and he was a rat and he could fight and he pretty much did everything that. I mean, he's
the guy you want on your team. He's just,
totally. Exactly
I know.
What he is.
I saw a couple YouTube clips, I think they were, or whatever, Twitter, where they put up old fights of the EIHL or the UK league. And man, he could chuck them too.
Yeah. And I think back then too, like aside from that little stretch where like McGrattan and
that was
all
crazy.
Those guys were coming over, aside from that, like that was kind of what it was like on a regular basis, I think, during Finner's time with McMorrow and Weapon X, Tenor, and all those guys, you know.
Oh yeah, that guy's from around this area.
Is he really?
Yeah. Because he played in the senior A loop around here once he was done, I think.
No.
Yeah. I heard a few stories about this league. Yeah. Gosh, what was I gonna say? But yeah, I think when McGrattan and Jansen and all Westgarth, all the big fellows came in, it was the year after the Clan and the Devils kind of bullied teams. Like our two teams were tough. And after that year, every team went out and got like a heavy.
I was pretty happy I shut her down after that year.
So you never played with Alex Levitt. I research team didn't have that much time today. So
I missed him by a year, unfortunately.
Right. I feel like he would. I feel like though, if you would have played with him, you would have gotten a couple extra fights, him being on your team. Yeah, he could do some dirty shit out there, right? And then he'd flop. You heard me, Levy. Right?
I heard the episode. Yeah.
Yeah. He and I've seen him spear people.
That kind of reminds me of like a Finner minus the flopping, but that sounds like Finner scoring goals.
These guys are not the same players. No.
Oh no. Okay. No. I don't know.
No, they're not the same player.
But when I chat with him off the ice at Haywood's testimonial, he seemed like an awesome guy, and just hearing from other people. But mostly, like what I really made me regret the fact that I didn't get to play with him was listening to your episode with him. He's a beauty. Story and a half.
He's a beauty. Yeah, he's a dandy. So you just brought up a testimonial of a shed guy, Haywood. So were you still playing, or were you over there already when that happened?
No, I'd been done for kind of like you for a few years.
So he flew you back over.
Yeah.
That's cool, eh?
Yeah, I felt really honored that I was one of the guys, because it's expensive to get out there. It was right before, it was in like February.
That's why I had to try and give him his money's worth, right? Like that's why I can't spray paint myself as the GOAT and not Matthew if he's gonna fly me over there, right?
Totally. You got to go all out and help out the cause.
Exactly.
But that was right before COVID. It was February before COVID, 2019.
That's when you went. So okay.
Yeah. So like he was lucky timing wise that he was able to get that in. And it was awesome too.
Well, my word. So okay, yeah. Haywood's a beauty and a shed guy. And then he wanted to go back and they never had it back. And now what is the circus going on there? They got a shed guy running the show now, and it seems like it might bring everybody together. I think that sort of stuff can bring a team together. Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel for the dudes in the locker room.
Then they're just the team. It's like, we're together. This is us. We're in this together, right?
Yeah. They had no control over what happened. And yeah, if you have somebody like you're saying running the helm, it's one of those, just keep your head down and just
Dicko was hard, one of those guys, everybody in Cardiff, he brought everybody together. He was the guy getting everybody to go for lunches and go do stuff around town, and he's a glue guy. And if you have a guy like that I think he can bring that team together, right?
Well, that's especially because from what I hear, the fans, rightfully so, are pretty upset about the whole scenario, and they always did a good job of holding the club accountable, but also I heard someone say it the other day on one of your episodes. They're just really level-headed. They're not, I think it was Franny's episode where he said that they're not like over the top support of the team. If there's something going on that's not right, they'll pipe up. And but they'll be the first ones to defend their team too if they think their team's being wrong. So having a guy like you said, who's the coach with Dicko, you said?
Dixon, yeah.
Yeah. From what you're saying, I mean, that guy should be able to get a team going with everything that's going on.
And I think they
bring
can
the
get
fans
behind
back
him,
around,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he's a beauty. And yeah, people are going to want to play for him. I think the players on that team will want to play for him and do well for him. And that, I think as a coach, that's the biggest thing in hockey is if you can get the people to want to do it for you as well, right?
That's the hardest part.
Anywho, I didn't even mean for this to segue like this. Sorry, coaches at WMU. But so Cowichan, you had 174, 277, and then 207 penalty minutes each season, folks.
Yeah.
He had a lot of penalty minutes. And then you got recruited to Western Michigan, right?
Yeah.
And we would bag skate if you took penalties, right? With puke buckets on the ice, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you would be mad because they would center you out in front of the whole team. Like, so folks, and like, I'm just telling stories. I'm not even saying this, everybody coaches differently, right? But we would play on the weekend and then we would show up for practice come Monday, right? And then if we took bad penalty, almost every penalty we took over the weekend was one suicide or lightning, right? And then it was extra for the guy that took that penalty and the whole team would watch them do it, right? So you skated a few lightnings that season and it was it's not what your teammates want to see. I didn't want to see you skating more like that and getting centered out. I wouldn't do that as a coach. I wouldn't. And I'm not trying to be mean. I just wouldn't do that you're centering out someone saying, because of like, we're going to skate you into the ground for taking penalties. I'm like, well, like you recruited him and he had 277 penalty minutes and then 207 and you recruited him. So I think you might take some penalties. You just think it out loud.
Yeah, because I mean, only 13. I think the most fights I ever had was like 15. So in a season. So I mean, if you do the math, 5 minutes a fight, that's not really close to 200 or 300. So there's a lot of going on in there.
Some of those bag skates though, like when there was puke buckets on the ice, like it was so right.
I think I did like 9 lightnings one practice,
but that's after like a 2-hour practice. That's at the end of the bag skate. We would have gotten bag skated the whole practice for not winning. We would have been bag skated, and then at the end was when the buckets came out.
Yeah, and that was when we were practicing at like 8 a.m. And after the weekend that we would have at Western,
right?
Those Mondays, whether they would have been flowed practices or not, those after a weekend like that, it hurts. Yeah.
Oh, that brings up another story because it's like weird, right? You're in a lot of pockets of my hockey life where you played, but Western Michigan, when I was thinking of Bubbles today, so many stories came back, and there was a weekend we all went to Elmira, Ontario to the Maple Syrup Festival. And this is in the off season where we've been put out and then they train you so hard for almost like punishment for getting put out, right? Where you'd run so far. And we went to Elmira, all the boys, and got in one all weekend. And then when we got back on the Monday and it was like run 7 kilometers or whatever it was, Brian Bisick got a cramp in his calf. Were you on the team when this happened?
This doesn't sound familiar now.
Oh my God. It looked like there was an animal inside his leg. Because the boys were dehydrated from everybody having fun that weekend. But I remember this cramp. It looked like there was an animal in his leg. It was crazy.
Just gyrating inside there. I mean, if you're doing
He
that
was
to Brian
laying on
Price-
the ground. He couldn't move. And we're in the middle of a run. And one of the boys was trying to massage his leg out. And he literally was screaming in pain. It was hilarious.
that guy was a freak of nature when it came to conditioning too. So I mean, if you're doing that to bicycle, it was
Well, it's just the
you're
cramp. It
pushing
was
the
just
boys,
like
too.
that. I think it was dehydration, you could call it.
mean, it could have been that. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, for
mhm.
sure.
Okay, so Western Michigan. I don't know if I asked you this last time. I never listened to it. How did you get recruited out of Cowichan? Who did it? Was it Kenner, Brooksy? Who's the
It was actually Brooke or Kenner, and I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they only saw me play once, and it wasn't even during the regular season. It was at like this invite thing because I was finishing high school up in Canada, and so it was like June, and we got invited to this weekend thing where you play 2 games, and it's all these different players from the BCHL. And after one game, I think I lit up like 3 people in this game, and I just remember meeting Kenner afterwards, my mom, and he just said, "Hey, let's get you out to a fly down." And
Kenner's a confirmed shed guy too.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is. But he's a
Oh.
busy guy. He's the CEO of some big company now. So he's
like,
I can do Sunday at 3:00 2 weeks from now. And I'm like, well, I can't do the middle of the day. So
yeah.
He'll come on. We just got to find the time, which we don't have. So
he tried to explain to me what he did when I was at the 10-year reunion, and I just realized whatever it was that he was doing, I wasn't comprehending, and it's very important. So he's doing well.
He's a beauty. Yeah. And I know that he took a shine to me and really tried to help me and like took extra, like he was trying to help me make it. I know that. So thanks.
Well,
Kenner.
I mean, I owe everything to him because he saw something that he went to bat for me, and that's why I came and had my fly down and night out with you, Stretchy, Reed, and
so it was us
Daryl.
that took you out.
Oh yeah, we went to what your captain. I think we did talk about this part because we went to your old captain's house. And we were sitting in a backyard. We were sitting in like a backyard, and it was an actual house. Yeah. And there was a fire pit and everything.
We were living in the basement, I think. Was it the off season?
It was. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's when Bubbles he came when I was staying at a pretty funky house too on his recruiting trip.
I'm pretty sure you are responsible for quite a few guys committing your group right there. I
really did take a passion in when Western was kind enough to say you're the guy taking the recruit out. I put my best foot forward every time. Yeah. I remember when Mike Erickson, who became our captain, he was thinking of transferring out of Minnesota, and he was a national champion, and he was drafted to the Minnesota like high or whatever, right? And they're like, do whatever it takes. I'm like, all right. We had yoga at 6 a.m. the next day. Man, Frankie, you should have seen this. They're trying to tell us to stand on 1 foot and like hold it up in the air. I was totaled.
I mean, just the thought of you and Stretchy doing yoga, regardless of being hammered or not, still is a sight that I'd love to have seen.
I had a free pass to basically show up to yoga and just run amok, just buckled. I was absolutely buckled. It was something, but hey, you know what? Yeah. He came to Western Michigan and was our captain, right? So
that's what I was gonna say.
You're welcome,
a guy like Mo,
right? You're welcome.
You helped out the leg. Basically, you're the reason why they are winning CCHA championships and everything else.
You know, I don't know though, because I think the guys I brought in and I showed them like how to go to Western Michigan. I don't think it was a winning culture at that time.
You kept it real, my man. That's number one. Work hard, play hard.
Work hard, play hard.
Don't worry about the rest. It'll take care of itself somehow.
You just got to give her, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you guys lived in the U Club too, right? We talked about that.
We were in North Campus Village. We were down the road. It was around the corner, literally around the corner off that one-way street.
Yeah, yeah. That was one of those places that had a pool, right? Like, so in the off,
I
you didn't
wish.
even have a pool.
We were just super jacked that we didn't have to live in the dorms because that was the first year where you didn't have to live in the dorms for 2 years in a
Second,
row.
oh God,
So
the
we were
second year
sophomores
is
living out.
yeah, it's so different because you've already done it for a year, and then like, yeah.
Life was way better being able to actually get an apartment.
Well, you just
and-
feel like more of a grown up, like having to cook your own food and stuff too, right? Like,
I mean, I really thought we were grown-ups at that time. And looking back, we really weren't. But yeah, for
I-
sure.
I remember my cooking skills back then were not up to par.
And that's when we got stipends for the scholarship guys. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember like me, Lesbo, and a few other guys, it was an accident, but we got like 4,200 deposited. We got like an extra $2,000 deposited in our accounts. And
By accident.
And I held on to it. Obviously I didn't spend the extra, but I do remember, I think there was one of them who had already spent it when they asked for their money back on that. But
Right.
I mean, it's amazing that you were able to
It was awesome.
have like $3,500 for
It was
whole,
awesome. I think
like,
what
for
it
the
was
semester.
they gave you so much. They gave you how much it cost to live in the dorms and have the best meal package was
Yeah.
what they gave you to live off campus, and you could run amok with that amount.
Yeah, you shop at Walmart, you buy everything bulk together, you get
Oh,
a
there was
George
a
Foreman
cheaper
grill.
store than Walmart. There was one just beside it there. Like, it was one of those grocery stores that like, it was like the off brands, man. It was, we went there a couple times. It was not, it was tough.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the chicken breasts in those bulk bags that were frozen they did
Oh.
not look great when they thawed out on the Foreman. But I mean,
yeah.
we were still able to have the greatest time ever with that amount of money for 3 months, $33,000 for 3 months with food, and still were able to go out about 3 to 4 times a week with Dollar Well, 50
And rent
cent wait
was
time.
cheap, right? Like, I think at the U Club, I don't think it was more than like $380 a month or something.
Oh no, because you're all chipping in.
I mean, yeah, per person. I think it was, yeah, it wasn't much to live there.
It was a game changer. It was,
It was
awesome.
fun times. We had a great time. Thanks, U Club, and for the deposit back. I think we got it.
Unbelievable. You did.
So we're still on how we know each other. Haven't really got into this because I forgot something was, we had a group chat set up for your whole class. We were having a reunion.
Yeah,
Do you know how much fun I'm having in the shed?
I can hear it. Yeah, I mean, I have a picture of it in my brain.
Because it's fun. But yeah, no, I did set up your whole class. We were gonna do her, but then Colby got sick that night, and I was the only parent at home, so I didn't really think I should be out here, which
I remember.
stand by that decision. But we got to do that still.
I can't wait. When you asked me for the photos for the poster, I had already started thinking about, I'm not going to send one picture of myself. I'm going to send a picture of chicken legs for Vex. I'm going to send a picture of condiments for Silky, because he used, for the first like 6 months when we lived together, he was so cheap that he had a mini
taking
fridge
the
in his,
condiments from all the places.
he had a mini fridge front in his room, and he would bring down at lunchtime, he'd bring the mayonnaise and the mustard and stuff down for his sandwiches so that we didn't use it and stuff like that. So I was going to send you a pic of the condiments and just go from
the poster picture. It can be great. I love
Yeah.
when people send photos of the other guys, as you know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, you gotta
keep it
send me
locked and
poster
loaded.
pics. I don't have that area of the notes down today because you haven't sent me any pics yet.
I know I was working on this new workbench. I'm super excited about.
Workbench. You're making a workbench today.
It's done. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
I'm excited.
How big? What are we talking? What is it?
It's like, it's 8 feet long. It's a place to put my table saw. It's a place to put my chop saw. I got some caster wheels on it. I got a little folding table on the back for when I use the table saw. If I'm going the long ways.
Are you working with your hands? Are you a craftsman?
I mean, I do I can put some stuff together. I'm not like someone who's making beautiful cabinets, but I can put some
Right.
stuff together for sure.
Well, okay, here's a fun story that I've never told. Yeah. When I first came back here, I didn't have a job. And then when I had to start doing something, started working for a carpenter for cash, and I really
Mhm.
wasn't much use to him. Other than he had a driving infraction or a drinking and driving infraction. So he needed someone to drive him around, right?
Awesome.
So then I didn't feel good that I wasn't good at being a carpenter. So I would go to the dump, which I do every Saturday with the kids. It's a great time. But we'd go to the dump and I would pick out wood from the wood pile. And
Heck yeah.
then I built shelves and like tables, and then I even sold some.
Did you
Because
really?
yeah, I sold
Nice.
some shelves for people to put little oils on, you know? So
Oh yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So that was like a brief part of my life. I was collecting wood from the dump and making shit out of it to try and be better at carpentry. So there you go.
Every skill set along the way makes you the man you are today. Look at that, even rhymes.
There you go. This is yeah.
Unreal.
But you know, it is fun. I like doing that stuff, right?
For me, it's usually my me time.
Right.
And my wife,
Mine's in my
Jen,
shed all the
loves it
time
too.
now, though. Like every time I'm like, what am I gonna do for fun? It's this. So
Yeah, I get it. I'm lucky because Jem loves this stuff too. So like we trade off because we'll take like a weekend doing these projects, most of them, and so then that person kind of gets to go do their thing, and then the others got the
so
kids.
you're not
doing
working together.
kids.
Like this isn't like a big romance thing where
It's
you
not.
guys
We are working together, but it's not at the same time. So like I'm the dude that puts it together. She's the one that makes it pretty.
yeah.
and
No, I
all that
I
stuff.
understand. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally
So-
understand that.
And so we get to buy anytime there's a new project, she lets me go out and buy a new tool for that project.
Right.
So yeah,
New
it
tools.
works out really well.
Yeah. Well, whatever you're into, right? If you
That's
get
it.
new tools is what you're into, then do that. Mine is locking people down in the shed. Soon as we
Hell
were
yeah.
locked down, Frankie, when Bubbles bailed on me, I was so deflated, and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm finding someone. And you know what,
Get into the
Frankie?
well.
I was you were one of the ones. I was like, Silky, I asked, and then he couldn't
Yeah.
do it because I'd never had him on, and he's a shed guy, right? And
Yeah.
anyways, then I asked you, and I just know you'd do anything for the team. You always would. You were always that guy that would do anything.
Well, like I said before we jumped on here, like I've been training for this my whole life by just sitting on the bench waiting to get my 2 minutes a game. So
Oh yeah.
just give me the tap, coach.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Did you have to try and run the 2-mile run, and did you make it at Western Michigan?
Well, I dominated that 2-mile run.
You
I got it
actually
both times
did
we
it?
did it.
You did it. You did it in 12 minutes.
Under.
That's not even
12
physically possible.
I think it was 11 minutes and 57 seconds the first time. And then the second time was, I think I got it 11:52. Yeah.
Do you know some people just aren't long distance runners though? Like some people have longer legs than other people, and it's more strides around the track, and it's just not physically possible.
Well, Wally, listen to this. I made the 2-mile every time I had to do it, but guys like Mark Letestu and Riley Gill, who are kind of legends, one played in the NHL for a long time, they weren't even close. I think they had 18-minute 2 miles, and it worked out for them pretty good. I kind of wish we could swap places
Right.
when it comes to that.
Right. And yeah, that I always found it interesting. In Germany, they would hold the 400-meter run to like that's how good you are at hockey, is how fast you run 400 meters. It's like, well, that's actually not true. So can we go out on the ice now? Because I'm sick of running.
I think if I look back at now, those days when you're like tired and you have to choose between on the ice or off ice workouts, I would usually choose the off ice workout. Whereas now looking back, I was like, well, I probably should have just worked on my craft that I was actually
Right.
trying to make it in.
Right. And I always find it interesting because, like, coming up back in the day, you never really worked on your skills. Like, you just had team practice and you did your normal drills and you'd skate around and do whatever. But like Vex was a pioneer. He is a pioneer in a lot of shit he does in the world. But when I was finishing at Western Michigan and that punk came in and started making us all look bad because he was doing everything more than us, right? And he was doing what the guys do now. He was staying out after practice and like doing all his drills around the net and going top cheese and doing all his stuff. And I was just going off the ice because practice was over. It was finally over. Like, God, that was too long. And then he would stay out and do all this shit, right?
He's an animal. He was ahead of the curve for sure. It makes sense why he's doing what he's doing now.
But you know what? I tried to lock down the group chat for this weekend and he had to cuddle. So yeah, I didn't even tell you about my idea because he shot it down right away.
Did he?
Yeah. He said, I can't, I said, my wife is gone for like the next like 4 days. I could do it any night. Yeah, and he's like, I have to cuddle like every night.
What do you mean cuddle? I don't.
He was spending time because he was busy the other nights or something. I said Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, I think is what I said. I don't know which days I said. I said, let's lock this down. And he said, I cannot do it because I'm doing this, and this other stuff. He's a busy guy.
Yeah. And when he doesn't have kids, I don't think so. That's just a totally different type of busy that I don't
totally different type of busy that I couldn't. Yeah. You're right.
Right. I mean, our busy is like,
and like he doesn't really drink too, right? So he has a lot of hours and minutes in the day to get shit done when you got that much energy. And you see how fit he is still? Like he looks younger than like in university. Like he looks like the pinnacle of health.
He's awesome. I messaged him last March, end of March. I was like, hey, if you can help me out, I'd love to sign up for a program for my son Jax, who is 8, and he just wants to kind of do some fun stuff, kind of introduce him softly to off-ice training. You know, I don't want to kill him, but give me some ideas other than just like sprints and jumping and stuff like that. And so he went all out, sent me this program for him. He wouldn't take my money. The guy is just the best.
I know.
We did it for like the first few weeks, but yeah, I mean, that kid life, it picked up pretty fast again. So it was tough to continue on, but the guy will do anything for you.
No, he would though. And like, yeah, he's got a lot of people on his team. Like, yeah, did you know? So small world stuff here, right? Is we got a bunch of Twix thrown on the ice in Cardiff last year for the goalie, Matt Carruth, right?
Awesome.
Right. That's cool. And it was really cool. But what's really cool is that Jeff Lavecchio started it with Matt Carruth in Hungary before that.
No.
That's how it started. That's how the Twix started.
Really?
Was Jeff Lavecchio.
How do you do that?
Something to do with Mac didn't like the crappy chocolate bars they were giving the players after games. That was like a sponsor. So then Vex said to the fans, like, he doesn't like this stuff. Give him Twix. And then somehow the kid of the owner gave him Twix or something. But Vex started it. Yeah. Mac confirmed that today. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
It is cool.
So it's funny
Broncos just getting shit done. Attaboy, Vex.
Man, it's funny you did the canny thing, because when I played in Sheffield, I remember Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, was on the Seahawks at the time. And so anytime he scored a touchdown, he got Skittles thrown at him.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah. I remember going on Twitter, and I don't know how it exactly started, but I said something about mini eggs because I love the mini eggs over there. So after the game in Sheffield, we would go around, do the applause thing. And for a good stretch there, we were getting tons of bags of mini eggs
That's
They
awesome.
bring back on the into the locker room.
That's what's so cool about the fans over there, right? Is like they're up for having fun, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I'm
that's-
pretty sure if Ben Bounds plays well here and gets W at Cardiff, I'm pretty sure someone is gonna throw a steak on the ice because he asked for it in the GB Legends episode, and then Franny confirmed that would be kind of funny. I'm pretty sure
someone will
somebody's
do
gonna
it.
throw a steak on the ice in Cardiff,
It's-
and then it'll be like that started in the shed, right?
It doesn't seem that far fetched if people are willing to throw salmon, catfish, and
Octopus. Yeah.
on the ice, right? Just a steak. That's actually easier to smuggle in, I think.
Right. And so what I'm thinking, just thinking out loud, right, is if it's
Uh.
raw and it's good, right? We'll take it out of the package, folks, but then throw it out on the ice. It'll still be cold. And then I think the fellas should get a little small barbecue-ish type thing in the room.
Yeah.
And then whatever steaks come out, then they could have a little fry in the room, right? Just think it out loud. Just think.
I think the George brothers need to get
The George
this thing
brothers need to
going
come
on the
back
ground.
in the shed is what they need to do.
I would love to hear those guys again in the shed.
Holy moly, your dog! Does your dog know I don't have an editing team?
My sister's and she just got here. She lives like 6 hours away, so she's popping by for the night. So anytime somebody comes to the door, which I think she's walking in.
Did you say your
dog-
sister came from 6 hours away?
Yeah, she's
And you're
she
making
doesn't-
time for the shed. It warms my heart. Sorry.
here for you, man.
Okay. I want one of my cutting edge questions here is
Yeah.
how much fun was the first month of school at Western Michigan each season? I thought the first couple weeks, like when everybody got back, it was the first week or two was just electric.
I was talking about welcome week with somebody not too long ago, but yeah, I mean the first few weeks you go to Frat Village, that's an automatic. It's possibly the last time you go to Frat Village.
I didn't get around. I didn't go around there much.
Did you not?
I didn't really fit in with that crowd. I don't think.
Oh no! I mean, we got full on.
We went there a couple times, but
you had Rico on, Frederico.
Yeah.
One of his introductions to Western was we took the freshman because was he a freshman? Yeah, he was a freshman, I think, when I was a senior. And so we took some of them, me, Clacker, Matt Claxon, and a few others down just so they could see the hustle and bustle, the craziness of the college. Because that's the only time we would ever go to Frat Village was welcome week, because it's just everybody goes there, I think. So we get down there and all of a sudden, somehow we got split up and I was with Rico, but I might have told us in the last one, but they got into a big scrap, that group. And all I know is Clacker was knocking dudes out left and right, as you can imagine. And I got a call from somebody, it might've been Clacker, saying, "Frankie, where are you, dude? We just got jumped by all these frat dudes. Well, where are you, man? We need you."
I think I remember hearing about this.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I can't believe I just missed out on helping the guys out. I was worried if anyone's hurt. And Rico, he's so green to everything at this time. He's wide-eyed, puppy dog eyes about the whole situation. And I see these dudes storming around, shirts off, puffing the chest, huffing and puffing kind of thing. And we were with a couple friends, and we were about to leave out of the car. And so I see these guys, and I think, like, don't do it. Just go get in the car. But the young me, who's full of testosterone, who missed out on a fun story with the boys kind of thing, was an idiot and did a U-turn and started chirping those dudes. And all of a sudden, these guys, just as you can imagine, punches.
What class? You're a senior at this time? What are you?
Yeah, I'm a senior at this time. So punches
you're Frank the Tank, man. I got this on the notes. Like, dude, when we're talking about you taking those penalties and we had to do some skating because of it, whatever. Being Frank the Tank was worth all that skating.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah,
oh God,
of course I did. And I had Weaver there to humble me.
Do you know how cool it was? Oh yeah, Weaves, what a beauty. But what I was gonna say was, like, how when you think about like the cool shit I hear in my shed of all these guys' cool journeys and like all the neat stuff that got to happen at Western Michigan, you had to have been the most popular player, like almost like ever. Man, that crowd loved you that first year when you had some junk in your trunk and you were just crushing guys.
It was awesome. I didn't even know that they chanted like that. It was
I think they
hilarious.
didn't until you went there.
I think it contributed to me taking more penalties because all I wanted to do was try to get 1 to 2.
How do you think that makes the leading scorer feel when like you're almost lead the nation in scoring and the whole crowd is just chanting about Frank the Tank?
The goon?
I actually loved it. It was so awesome. And like it was like I talked about the GB guys should be a Disney movie. Like when what they could have made one about you at Western Michigan. Like the crowd would all be chanting Frank the Tank, and you had just leveled 5 people.
Well, it kills me to think about now is the college guys and that Neil stuff. They can make money off their own brand. We could have
You
paid
could have
for a
ran
couple
a
seasons.
muck. Oh
You
yeah,
know, we're not going to get rich, but we could have made some money and not even had to worry about scholarship.
we could have even had bigger Scully checks. You imagine?
Yeah. We could have gone downtown more often to the piano bar instead of
The
50
piano
cent
bar.
wayside.
And so one of my questions is, what's your favorite bar at Western Michigan? But
Yeah.
okay, when I heard Lone Star, she walked in the other day, it made me think of the country bar that was out of town about 30 minutes. Did you go there?
Freshman
It was like
year.
in a barn.
Well, I think we went with you guys freshman year. That was the
I
only
would have
time we
taken
ever
you
went
there
there.
because that was my honey hole. I loved that place.
It
When that
was
song would
awesome.
come on and we'd start line dancing, and like we would dress like college kids, and these folks were legit country
Cowboys,
folks.
yeah.
And we would show up in our college clothes, but like it was really fun to line dance.
Where was that? I have no
don't
recollection.
know. You had to go with the people that knew how to get there.
Oh, you know what? Sandy drove us. Paul Shahur is Chewy's wife. So yeah, of course I don't know. We were sitting in the very back of her car.
Well,
yeah, I have no idea how we got there.
I bet you I went there about a handful of times in my life, and they were my favorite nights out in college. Some of them, like that bar is incredible. Whatever it's called, wherever it is, whatever it's named, I loved it. It was right up my alley.
Packed too, and I had that hair down past my shoulders, and for some reason I was wearing like a salmon colored dress shirt. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just remember I sweated through that shirt within the first half hour.
You get up there line dancing, man. It's just
we couldn't stop it.
It was really fun.
It's the only time I made it.
But the only tough part would be that 30-minute ride back to Kalamazoo or whatever. Staying awake, people, it was college. They would drink too much, right? Throwing up out of the car, things of that nature. There'd be some wild times happen, but I would say that was one of the funnest. If I ever thought about funnest bars I've ever been to, I think that's up there. Whatever it's called and wherever it is.
Pretty sure Sandy was like the team mom.
For you
so
guys,
I feel bad for her because she was definitely taking care of a lot.
And she's done a great job taking care of Paul all these years.
To her,
folks.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, she's still taking care of him, I'm sure. Yeah. Scaredy Pants. He won't come to the shed either. We called him Scaredy Pants when he came as a freshman, and he still won't come to the shed.
Is he still thinks a comeback might be in the making?
I don't even know. I haven't even asked for a while, because I just know he's not going to.
He's just a shy guy too.
He is a shy guy. He's
pretty humble. He's just your stereotypical Canadian.
He just wants to play hockey and he likes it. He's good at it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about himself.
No, but he's pretty good at it. He was the guy that set me up for a lot of goals in college, so be cool if he'd come to the shed, just thinking out loud, Paul, put on your big boy pants, come to the shed, right?
I would love to hear his story for sure. And his friends. What were his friends?
I couldn't imagine some of the stories he's got, but I don't know, everybody knows what to talk about where they played and like what he's been all over the KHL. That would be wild.
Yeah, I don't even care about that. I just want to hear the stories that he would have with his clan that I always brought up, like the one dude who always wore a
Bradford
hockey helmet all the
fellas.
time. Yeah, those
Well,
guys were
speaking of
wild.
those fellas that some of them were on our team that won the roller hockey tournament in Florida at the Lonnie Kai. They are still standing after the hurricane. But
Oh wow,
that brings this up is Craig Kowalski. I'm sure you would remember him. He was
yeah.
goalie in Nottingham, the
I
Florida
remember that.
Everblades. So he also played at Northern Michigan against me. I literally just found out right before we came to the shed, from Derek Nesbitt that Craig Kowalski lost his family house, like his
Oh
kids,
no way.
his home. They lost it in the hurricane. And there's a GoFundMe page that's been set up by Ernie Hartlieb's wife, I believe. So he's going to come to the shed, talk about what all they're dealing with down there. But
Oh, it's brutal.
there's a
It's probably, they
GoFundMe
say, one of the
page
worst,
to
yeah.
give back to the Kowalskis. But basically, it's a fella like us that has literally lost his entire house. So there's a GoFundMe page to help them out. If you guys can look that up, because I'm not very good at the whole social media stuff and getting stuff out there the proper way, right? I think
Oh, dude,
there's
I
pros
mean,
for that stuff.
the stories about what's going on down there right now, they're saying it's one of the possibly the worst hurricane that's ever been hit when it comes to the cost of damage. So, and I know it's Craig Kowalski. That guy was a legend. He was part of that Grand Slam team. So I know the fans over there, they would totally get behind
I'm sure
it on
they'll
that.
get behind this. So I just found this out. Yeah, and I couldn't imagine what they're dealing with. And
No.
so everybody that can
Long
help
road.
out, please do. Yeah,
Sure.
wild stuff. So what would be your favorite bar at Western Michigan?
Oh, well, Monday there was one that was downtown.
It's about the day, right? It's
Yeah.
totally about the theme of the day or the drink specials, really.
And it just happened to work, or it just happened that it actually was a fun time on those days at that place. I forget what the one place was called on Mondays, but it was downtown. I just remember had a ton of beers on tap. Tuesday was Firehouse.
You're going
Wednesday,
downtown, eh?
not a ton, but a few times we would go down there on Monday.
That piano bar downtown's about as fun as it gets, right? When they get the two piano guys battling.
You can, yeah, and you can throw out the recommendations. And I'll actually take them on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was Sunday though, so you're skipping ahead, Wally.
You're
that
right.
was Sunday.
You're right.
Okay?
You're right.
Tuesday.
Sorry, I wasn't still drinking on Monday, Chris.
Tuesday, Firehouse. Wednesday, 50-cent beer night at
Bowling.
Wayside. Thursday was
No,
Waldo.
you don't go to Wayside. You go bowling for
we
$5.
All
$5 was all you could bowl 50-cent beers, folks. They figure it out. $5 all you can bowl 50-cent beers.
Hey, we went a couple times there too, and that was awesome. But when I think of what I did the most, it was sit around Wayside on Wednesdays with like six guys at a table with a table full of those little 8-ounce beers playing quarters.
Really? You guys went to Wayside. I never really went there. It was too big for me. I'm a small town guy. I like small places, right? And like they had like a dance floor and the whole nightclub area. That's not me. But they did have like the side that would work for me. So it was a nice spot, just really big, right?
It was. I mean, it was hit or miss, but as usual, anybody could say like.
Did you go to Waldo's?
Well, that was my Thursday bar, was Waldo's and the Pitchers, Long Island iced tea.
If you ever, that's part of that first month of school, right? Where you still can have a Thursday and drink because come the hockey season, you got to play hockey games, right? So you got to hit Waldo's up before that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then at the end of the season, because we started saying like all year round, pretty much, like. Except for the guys that were local.
Well, yeah, and you guys don't live as close, right? It would make it harder to like move back and forth.
I just didn't have the train. I didn't have the money to go to like train, like workout places or whatever, camps and stuff back home. So like, if I went home, I'd have to skate with my midget team I played with, or go up to Cowichan. But my billets would totally have me, and the team totally would let me skate with them and get ready for camps and stuff. But I mean, it was just so convenient. and cheap to have all the workout facilities and rink and all that stuff and the guys being there. So I'd stay all year round. So that's when I'd go downtown Monday, downtown Sunday, Waldo's on a Thursday. Friday was fire. I don't even remember. Friday was Firehouse. Probably Friday, Saturday was Firehouse, to be honest.
Well, and that's what's interesting, right? Is you had all those spots and they were all great every day. And there's literally fun stuff to do every day. Where when we went to Western Michigan, they're like, okay, this is how the scholarships work. It's like you're only taking whatever 4 classes a semester. So you got to make one up in the spring or 2 and stay, and then you're gonna work out a ton, you're gonna get in ripped up shape, and then then they've trained you like crazy. They've made you run an absolutely insane amount after you get put out as like punishment. So you run and run and run, and then it's like, okay, now you're on your own for the spring semester. You only have 1 class, and you can do whatever you want the rest of the day. And then Stretch is going to live with you. And
well, if I remember correctly, Daryl's was right there with you guys.
Well, it was the spring semester was an absolute circus. Do you know what time we'll call him Stretch. I don't know if people know who that is, right?
Yeah,
but
forget we're on
so
a podcast.
we were walking to an exam, the final exam of the class, and Stretch looked up at a squirrel running across a hydro line, and he fell over backwards on the way to the exam.
He's a special human being. And
in the middle of the exam, he literally he was in one, and he's leaned over so far trying to copy off my paper that his desk almost tipped over. Then the teacher, it was ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure he passed that exam.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so.
That's amazing. When we tried to cheat, I think I told it last time on here, when we tried to cheat, I had clackers sitting in front of me, and we had this pencil tap thing on the neck based off what A, B, C, or D. Like C would be 3 taps. And so I was trying to follow along, and what I didn't know was he was skipping questions and trying to go, and he'd go back to them later on. So I ended up failing.
Oh, because you'd have the wrong question. You might have been on question number 8 instead of number 7. He's telling you C for the wrong one.
Yeah, I had filled out my entire test, and somehow he was still answering questions. That's when I knew I was in trouble. And it didn't work out. It actually was more work.
So you were using the Gatorade bottles.
Oh, I tried that too, but they were getting a little more savvy with that.
Oh, people started figuring out what we came up with.
Well, I think the hockey guys ahead of us might have
ruined.
Showed their cards, showed their hands.
Yeah, we didn't get caught.
You guys are good.
Yellow Gatorade bottle in the calorie section there, folks. You could put in, say, like something. I'm just thinking hypothetically, I wouldn't do this, but if you say knew some stuff and then you printed it off and then like taped it to the Gatorade bottle, or even put it inside the label and cut out that part, but
totally.
Right, it might work. I don't know, but right.
Keep giving the suggestions. I'm sure the kids nowadays with technology.
There's got to be so many ways to get around stuff now.
For sure, we're gonna be the biggest idiots ever in the next 20 years.
I love that you're wearing your Western Michigan shirt. I'm wearing one too. Cheers, buddy.
Loud and proud. Didn't even plan this. I was wearing it before you asked me to come on.
I've been wearing this one I actually have 2 of these. They're very nice this time of year in the spring, the long sleeve tee.
Totally.
Or it's not the spring, folks. It's the fall, right? Oh, shoot. Okay, so did you ever say you think Wayside's your favorite bar?
Oh, no.
I was gonna say
Firehouse.
Yeah. Firehouse was our honey hole when I was a senior and you were a freshman. And that's my ties to you feel like it's at the Firehouse mainly.
Yeah. That's when I remember seeing you guys the most. I had a hard time getting in there your year because I was 20.
Right.
And the fake ID didn't always work. We were usually the crew that was
Shit.
setting the house parties up for when you guys come home.
Yeah, shout out to Dino from Elmira. He got me through a lot in college. His Ontario ID looked pretty like it looked like me, right? But it was from when he was like 16. So then it had been expired for years, but they wouldn't know where to look on the Ontario ones, right? So yeah, it worked for me for the whole time. I was
Were
pretty
you
well.
a true freshman?
No, a year after, but yeah,
Okay, I
late
was the same
birthday.
then.
So
So
whatever
you had
that
at
is.
least a good 2 years of 21.
No, well, just about. I'm not sure because it always worked. I'm not sure when
It
that
didn't matter.
changed. Yeah, pretty sure I was always 21, except for the dorms that one night. I got in trouble. I came back from Canada and I've been drinking legally all summer. And this is what we were talking about, my second year in the dorms, right? When you feel like you've been at the school for a year, you're comfortable, you feel like you can run amok. And then you're having beers in the dorms. And that first week when they try to set the tone and like, you guys can't do this, you can't do that. And then all of a sudden I'm getting written up. And then I got to call the coach and be like, hey, I got written up in the dorms. It's like, I was just allowed to do this before I crossed the border.
I was a legal adult, technically.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
Anywho. Okay. Anything you want to talk about while I look at my notes here? Because I got a lot of notes here and we haven't got into any of
them. No, I don't have anything on top of my mind. So I love the fact that you have things that are bringing things up in my head, to be honest.
Okay, good. Because one thing that comes up is, well, for your class, I think a firehouse, but then the guys older than me, I think of the tap room, and what a special place. What a special place.
Was that
it became the Y bar?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was whatever, just like an empty, it was just an open room with a dance floor then, right? It was just a bar.
Yeah, that actually turned out to be a pretty good spot later on after Y bar. It was called the Grotto, and it was really cool. It was like a kind of Al Capone Chicago underground style bar.
Oh, somebody brought that up, that was a cool spot. They said, how is that not there? And I said, I've never heard of that.
Did you not?
Squires.
Yes. Okay. I listened to little Squires. Yeah. Yeah, it was a really cool spot. In fact, that class, like Derek Rail and Squires and Ian Slater and those guys, they ran that bar. I think Rail was actually one of the bouncers. So the hockey team did whatever they wanted there, I'm pretty sure.
Well, of all the it's all about who you know at the bar. But it's like that in life for everything you do. It's who you meet and who you know. But knowing, we knew a guy at the firehouse, as Daryl knew the guy, right? And that's how that all started for us.
That's the big dude with the
beard.
The beard. Yeah. He was around for a while.
Yeah. But I just have written down here, like, I loved Western Michigan. Like when I went there, like that first month, it was incredible. Like when the season was over, was playing in front of the Lawson Lunatics was awesome. And it was like, if you could be a winning team and go to Western Michigan University, it would be incredible. I can't imagine what those guys are living like now because they win now.
They probably live like we did after beating Ohio State one time, right? But like all the time.
But then it's like that every weekend because you won every weekend, and it's not like you have to stay home and do nothing.
Their Halloween party is every party.
Oh, whoa!
Don't you think? I don't know.
Oh my God, they can't all be like that.
I mean, to be fair, they probably don't party like that anymore.
No, they couldn't. I don't think.
I think the game's changed quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Social media, David Sims asked why the game's changed so much. And I really do think with phones, it's like when you go out and have beers now, there could be fans with phones. There's people videoing and social media again. Like you don't have any control what goes out there about it and how quickly you can get in trouble. It's like back in the day before phones and before video phones and everybody posts and everything, which I'm bad at too. So sorry, folks. But like, you know what I mean? Like that's what changed, that people can like be themselves and like aren't worried about like what everybody's thinking, because you can go out for beers and it's like, well, you saw two people, but who are they going to tell?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a huge part of it, is that makes it more difficult. And then also like with the phones and all that stuff, is a big reason why you go out is to socialize. But if you can just socialize
By sitting on your couch with your
right,
yeah,
and you get used to that. I mean, honestly, like it sounds silly, but that you could get anxiety by going out, and
yeah,
it changes. It totally changes your idea of what fun is. So I think that kind of has a role too.
well, my idea of fun is coming to my shed and talking into my computer, right? So
Exactly. And maybe that's what they do now, but with video games and stuff.
right,
Who knows?
it is. But yeah, I don't think there's as much going out like together, right? Like
No.
no.
Also, I think alcohol is just probably pretty rough on the body if you're trying to be an elite athlete.
And like skate as fast as they do now and stuff.
Yeah. We weren't moving that fast back then.
No, but I know we brought this up the first time, but I was gonna put it in your intro. I don't think I said it, but you did throw the biggest body check, I think, maybe in hockey history. I don't think anybody has. I've never seen anybody get hit harder, and it was a clean hit.
Back then it was.
Right. Might be charging now.
I don't think I would be. I think I would be suspended for life nowadays. Yeah.
Right. So that's on YouTube, folks. We won't talk about it again, but it was Michigan versus Western Michigan. Frank the Tank hit a guy really hard and might have collapsed his lung, but he did continue to play hockey in his life, and he's okay with it now, right?
Yeah, I said it last time, but we ended up being teammates for a short amount of time.
Right.
So yeah, we talked it, and it was awesome. He said none of that stuff happened. The collapse lung. He was conky and out.
Oh, okay.
But he didn't have a broken rib. In fact, the kid that put that video up, I don't know how he got the video, but it was the owner's son from Cowichan Valley.
Really?
And the owner's son was like, at the time,
it's a like small 12. World, isn't it?
Yeah. And so he just threw it up there. And
do you remember when we go play fire. University of Michigan and the guy from Dumb and Dumber would be there watching us?
Yeah.
Not Jim Carrey.
The other one, Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. Thank you. Thank you.
Play too, right?
Yeah, he'd be at all the games and watching us play hockey. And I'm like, I think it is so cool that Jeff Daniels is here watching us play hockey tonight.
Yeah, it's wild who ends up in your realm, like through the sport, like that Wyatt Russell. He was that like Kurt Russell's kid, like the actor. His son played hockey and was my age group, 86, and he played. So like what you guys do for your provincial tryouts, when you have your Team Canada thing, like that's we had our USA tryouts, and so we ended up having the Pacific or the West Coast team, whatever. It was like Washington, Oregon, Alaska, or California, Alaska, etc. And so that Wyatt Russell was a goalie. So we got to play together a couple of times. And now you see him on these huge TV shows and movies and stuff. It's pretty cool.
What's he on?
Oh man, he's on this new one on Hulu about some extreme Mormon family story, but it's really good. It's with
what's interesting for me is like I literally don't have any time to do anything else, because like last night when I was like, so what do I do if I don't go to the shed, if I have like a night of like nothing, right? And I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. But
I hear you. My show times are usually when I'm in my shed working out. And that's when I watch my TV series, because otherwise it's Coco Melon.
And anyways, if anybody wants to start a shed and thinks it'll help them have fun in life, I'll be the first one to come to your shed. You know, it's fun. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I really like it. So anywho, what do I got? Do you know after your first 2 years at Western Michigan, you went from like in the hundreds in penalty minutes to like 30 penalty minutes.
I was trying really hard to be better.
A lot of skis those first 2 years.
Well, I think
Were they not?
I mean,
they wouldn't have even been chanting as loud in the crowd then, or what?
I mean, I think I kind of got lucky with the fact that Old School was right around that time too when I came in. So the whole Frank the Tank thing with that,
The timing of it, right? It
worked out.
It was a great time for you to be at Western Michigan.
I lost some weight too the final couple seasons, so I couldn't throw it around the same way either.
And that's interesting for me, right? And that brings up another story that we've already brought up was when I went to Cardiff and Piglet, episode 1, I know texted you and was like, what's with this Walton guy? Like, he's not that in shape. And you said, that's Wally. He's fine. He's ready to go. And like there was one year where I got like all ripped up, and it was when I played in the coast that year. And it's like, I had to play hockey differently. I got thrown around in the corners, and like, I couldn't reverse hit guys like I wanted to. And I don't know. I guess I liked a little junk in my trunk,
It definitely totally changes how you use your weight. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say that out loud because it's obvious, but
if you get skinnier, I'm thinking of the guy that like the coach would say, Frank, you're going against him. Effing give it to him, Walton. You're not ready for pro. You're not ready for pro. Frank, fucking give it to him. And then it'd be on one-on-one full ice.
For like 5 minutes.
For like 5 minutes of just me trying to reverse hit you trying to show the coach you'll do what he's saying to do, but also not hurt me. It was quite the cat and mouse game we played.
I had it was really a game because I had it down to where it looked like I was cross-checking you, but I'd have my hands close enough where it was just my gloves.
Why? And then we would talk about it after, and we'd be like, this is absurd.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill the only guy who scores goals for our team. That's probably not a good
But he
idea.
wanted you to. He asked you to. He actually told you had to.
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
And actually, that's because this is fun and we're on a roll here. Is the other part of I have on the notes of what we should talk about was like we talked about the first episode, but I still think it's one of the funniest things was when I went to Cardiff and you were with Glasgow and I hadn't seen you since Western Michigan. We had hardly seen each other, and then we play our first game against each other, and I'm so excited to see you. I was so jazzed up to see you and be playing hockey against you. And then the first shift, I went to give you a flyby and skate by you and give you a whack on the back of the legs, like, hey, Frankie, how are you? And I gave you the whack on the back of the ankles, which it was a love tap. It wasn't like you turned around and tried to cross-check me in the face. And then your eyes don't look like they do now. They were a little crooked one was towards in. And I was scared. And I was like, oh dear. And you called me mean names. And then I was like, wow, we're doing this. And then every time, and then I remember after that game, we battled. We gave her. I was like, well, if this is the way it is when we're out here, then she's go time.
I think I was just so conditioned at that point that in pro hockey, if you always, for my style of play, if anyone ever tried to show you up or do anything to you, you had to let them know, like over the top, let them know. I don't even know if I realized it was you originally.
And that's what really shook me was I was just giving you a love tap. It was like harder than a love tap, but it was like, haha, Chris, I'm out here.
Didn't I ask you right after the game though if we're still friends?
You did. You were talking to Piglet, and you guys were buddies now. And I'm like, and I came up like, so like we were buddy, and like I'm looking at you, and you're looking at me, and you're like, hey Wally, so like we're still friends after that. I'm like, well, I don't like. I think you were the meanest to me on the ice of all my friends.
Well, you had a team.
Do you know that?
Animals. I I mean, you're probably not the only person of my friend group to say that.
Well,
there's probably a crew of you.
I think that, maybe it was time for you to hang them up because I didn't like playing against you at all. But I remember I was trying to figure out if you were like serious or like if you would actually like cross check me in the face on purpose. And do you remember when we were like by the net and I knew you didn't wear a jock, so then I pressed up on your testicles, and then I was trying to figure out if you were actually going to punch me in the face, and you didn't.
Okay. Yes. So unless you've done,
because I thought I was testing you. I was like, I'm going to see if he's real or not. And I lifted up on your testicles, and I'm like, if he's actually a psycho, he's going to cross check me in the face or punch me. And he's actually not my friend. So I lifted up on your testicles to see, and you just yelled at me. You didn't punch me.
No, there's a picture.
I love you too.
There's a picture of that.
I know.
I
posted
I'm
that
yelling
today.
at you.
I posted it
really?
today. Oh yeah. I said Bubbles bailed on me. I said, did you know Bubbles bailed on me with a question mark? And then like cartoon thing. And then I said, I'll step up, see you in the shed. That's you.
I would never. I love that. I would never fight anybody like that. No.
No, I just didn't. I tested to see if you were, and you didn't hit me when I tried to crush your testicles. Thank you.
It helped at that point in my career. I did start wearing a jock for games, not for practice.
Right. And I always thought you were an app. That's what I thought you were a psychopath, was that you wouldn't wear a jock. Because I remember blocking a shot at Western Michigan, and it was right in front of the Lawson Lunatics. And I know they were chanting Frank the Tank, but I still tried to be cool for them. And I went down and blocked a shot, and it hit me right at the end of the deck.
That's the worst.
Right.
Yeah.
And I literally laid there on the ice and like put my hand in my jock and was like holding and squeezing. And this is me rolling around in front of all the college kids. And it's like, this sucks. And you didn't wear a jock. What if I wasn't wearing a jock that day? That was the only thing that saved me. And I was like, you're insane. And that's why I did that to your balls later, because I knew you had issues. But I was trying to figure out how that you were trying to make me your bitch. And I was like, I ain't your bitch. What am I going to do?
When you're not as skilled as the majority of people on the ice, you have to earn your paycheck by making a sideshow at times.
Well, I think after the testicle lift, if you would have kept coming at me the way you were, I'm pretty sure my next step would have been to shoot the puck at your nuts, because I had no other play. So,
or just send I don't know, 5 or 6 of the tough guys you had after me on that team. Yeah,
it was there, but you guys had the same thing. It was, those games were as hockey gets. I tell you, the Clan against Devils that season was wild.
It was intense. I mean, that last game I played against you guys in Glasgow, where you actually handed it to us, that was a super intense game. I don't know if you remember that one too, but that got a little silly and wild. And that actually got me a 6-game suspension after that game. Oh
dear. This is the other funny story, and I'm sure I told this one too, was there was a melee around the net, or there was like a loose puck by the net, and I was trying to get around you to get to the puck, and you had me, or somebody was starting to fight, and I was trying to like get around like I'm gonna help. And then you were like, no, you're my bitch. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I like tried to get away from you, and you grabbed me and suplexed me and then held me on the ice to the point where I was like, okay, uncle. Okay.
I just remember.
I am your bitch. I felt horrible that you were laying on me, and like, it felt like I was a little kid and you were going to spank me. And I was like, this sucks. I hate this feeling.
The drunk hugs that we shared at 3 a.m. at U Club, and I mean the warm and fuzzies from that, they don't just leave your heart. So anytime I get a chance to hug Brent Walton, I'm gonna take it and not let go.
It was, you know what, I'm really glad we played hockey against each other so I could see what it was like, because when you were Frank the Tank and you were hit, guys. I was like, I can't imagine being on the other team. And then, you were skinnier and it wasn't quite the same later in life, but it was
Totally.
quite the battle, I tell you.
It was fun. I enjoyed
It was fun.
I loved watching you do your reverse shouldies and your half wall little gyrations and
Gyrations?
You had body movements going on that I didn't.
Bobbing and weaving, shimmy
Yeah,
shakes, shimmy
you know what
shakes.
I mean?
I do spinaroonies and
so
shimmy
elusive.
shakes.
So elusive. So hard to catch you.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay. But anyways, one of the other things I wrote down here is the Bronco Brotherhood, though. Like the people that go to Western Michigan University, if you look at all the classes and all the people, and then you start talking around in your shed, some fantastic dudes go to Western Michigan University.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah. I mean, maybe things have changed when it comes to recruiting a little bit, but I think for the most part, like during our era, a lot of us are not the blue chippers, right? Like we're the ones that get passed over, and for whatever reason. And so like for the most part, we're just happy to be there. Like obviously we wanted to compete and win, and we worked hard and we all had talent, but we were just pumped to get scholarships for a lot of us and just make the team and play in the CCHA, which at that time, I mean, that was basically the Big Ten conference of hockey. I mean, you're playing against some legendary.
But that was also like, I talk about a lot about mentality in hockey, what you believe you can do. I think it's in life, but what you believe you can do. And if you don't actually deep down in your nuts believe you can do it, you can't. The way the culture was at Western Michigan, like when you're coming in my senior year and my junior year, and I don't know how this culture happened with me there, and I still pisses me off, but like we'd go into Michigan and Michigan State and we would expect to lose. We would expect to lose on the road, and then we'd go home and play in front of the lunatics and run amok. But then you'd go elsewhere, and it was just like, we're going to be good at home and we're going to suck on the road.
I think culturally, I don't know. I can't say the same culturally. I do think there's individuals on every season that had that mentality where you hear it, but I definitely think like the competitors on the team, the top performers on the team, they didn't have that mentality. Right. But the problem was we didn't have buy-in from everyone. And if you're going to play against the Michigans of the world, you need everyone to buy in.
And that's in any league. To win anything, you have to have everybody buy in.
And we didn't have anywhere near that.
No.
We had great guys, but we didn't have that. Yeah.
No. Right. Fair point.
That brought me down, Wally. That brought me down.
Jeepers. Yeah. Sometimes the truth hurts, doesn't it, Chris?
It does. It's right here.
Well, they're like, when I think about it, like, yeah, I probably lost my way a bit at Western Michigan too, because you start losing games and then like I'm trying to go places and it's like, well, I'm gonna have to be cheating a bit, right, to score more points, because like
for sure
we ain't winning many games to get attention.
Well,
but that's the thing, is the teams that win games get attention. They get people coming to watch them, and they're like, why is this team winning? And that's the way it is in every league all over the world, is why is this team winning? What do they got?
Well, interesting, like listening to so many of the players that you've had on, there's such a trend of players that it seems like there's certain players that just, they win a championship, say in juniors, and then somehow they win a championship in college, and they win a championship on all these different pro teams, and
they learn what it takes, and they know
by accident. Right. They get recruited. Those top teams want them because they want players who know how to win and have that culture that you're talking about, because they'll fit into that culture. And so, there's definitely teams. If you win, man, it definitely helps your recruiting status for sure.
Right. But anyways, I don't know where we got off, but yeah, Western Michigan is a soft spot for me because I loved it. I would do anything for that school. It was the funnest days of my life. And when I went there and when I signed up to go there, they were ranked like top 10 in the country, I believe, or so. And then by the time I got there, the ship was starting to like, we got worse as I was there. And I was like, well, I'm at this school, we got worse. And I don't like it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I think that's just a competitor in you, though. It's just the fact that
I got issues.
You know what I mean? You know,
I got issues.
It's not on you, that's for sure.
You're right.
It's not on you guys by any means. I will take pride in the fact that we lost every season I was there, but that last class, hopefully we had some positive impact on them, because that was the class that turned the ship around. That freshman class when I was a senior. So
and
who impacted me?
And that
impacted me.
Right. And that
impacted them.
Right.
Look at that. We're building it back up.
Right. And that I helped recruit the guys, and Stretchy and Daryl and Yachts, bring you guys in that you guys could help them. But we helped turn it around too.
You need to thank the people before you all the time. Appreciate you, man.
There you go. Nice. I can't believe Bubbles isn't coming to my shed. What a punk.
He introduced me to Planet Earth and the Goodfellas. I owe so much to him.
Dude, he was my next door neighbor in both places. Like,
were you there when he did their apartment, did the stadium seating? They had like the one couch below, and then they put another couch on the tables or something. Like at a movie theater for Planet Earth, and everyone just sit around and watch
Planet Earth.
That was when Planet Earth was really coming out, and it was just like 8 hours a day of just watching.
See, yeah, it's everybody's got different things that happen, right? I remember when Entourage came out, or we just found out about it. I think there had already been a season and we didn't know about it. And boy, were we into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good times. We had not a lot of time during the day to do stuff, right?
So much. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Wow. I don't know. One thing I noticed on the research team that I don't know if we talked about, because I didn't think I know them yet. When you were in Las Vegas with the Wranglers, not to be mistaken with the Golden Knights, a Las Vegas Wrangler, your equipment guy was Jeff Maxwell?
Yeah. I was trying to remember what team he was our guy. But yeah,
episode 203, folks, the equipment guys. He's awesome. In Straubing, Germany now. Yeah.
Sounds like he's doing really well.
Yeah. No, and the equipment guys, like if they're a good dude that brings a good culture, like, and they work hard to know the game, and like they're hockey guys or shed guys, they can go places in the equipment world, it looks like, eh?
Well, I mean, they're a big part of what makes a player happy,
and that's what wins.
It helps for sure. Maxie was awesome, and he's a good dude.
Right.
It's hard. Like it's a crapshoot sometimes.
Sometimes you can get bad equipment guys.
You
can get guys that just don't like their job that much, and they're not that much. And it's like, well, why are you an equipment manager if you hate it? I don't understand. Like,
or they're just horrible at it. I've had one or two that are just really
I've had the guys that either just that they're not happy, and it's like, well, I don't know. That's my thing, right? Is it's a good day for living, and it's like, well, make what you're doing fun or don't do it. So,
right,
like, I don't know, when the guys are complaining about everything they do, it's like, well, why are you here?
Kind of the gig, right?
Yeah. That's what you signed up for. So why don't you just do it and smile and joke around like Deese and Maxie, because they're beautiful.
But there was definitely a couple of those that I had for full seasons. But I think the biggest difference was the fact that, like you said, they didn't really enjoy it, but they also just didn't have they didn't have it in check. They didn't have like a system of any kind to make their lives easier, to make the players' lives easier. So like it was just a snowball effect.
You could say they didn't learn from their mistakes and learn how to manage the situation.
Maxie ran a tight ship, I remember, in Vegas. And like there was never a problem. in Vegas
Right.
when it came to that stuff. He was the man.
Okay. That was just one of my questions, and I thought I'd bring that up. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of have random notes about each year of your career. I don't know. We already went through your career last time, right? So I can
Sure.
just kind of ask whatever, right?
Whatever you want.
So playing in the East Coast, one year you play in Las Vegas. Sounds lovely, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good time. The next year you play for the Elmira Jackals, not to be mistaken for Elmira, Ontario, folks. This is Elmira, New York, right?
Yeah, upstate.
Right. So what the research team wrote down here was Las Vegas, East Coast, not a grind. Elmira Jackals, East Coast, grind.
Oh, funny enough, our coach that year in Vegas, Ryan Mooj, anytime he was pissed off about something, which happened quite a bit. Great guy, but we were a 500 team basically, so a lot of reasons to be upset at times. But say we're on the road, we lost in Utah, we get back home super late. Basically, he says, as we get in the locker room, unpack our shit, he says, keep your fucking phones on. You boys, keep your phones on. Don't go out. See you tomorrow for practice. By the way, I will trade all of you to Elmira if you don't figure it out and if you go out tonight. So it ended up being like the threat was always getting traded to Elmira, and I put myself in that situation to where we had Malcolm Cameron, funny enough, as the coach at that time in Elmira, and it went his threats didn't really resonate the same way, because we were thinking like, we're already in the place that people threaten to send you to if you're having.
So you actually got traded to Elmira. So
no, I left. I went there on my own accord.
Okay.
But it was because I knew some guys that went and played in the Eel to go do their masters, and I really wanted to do that.
In the what?
In the EHL, the Elite League.
What'd you call it?
The Eel.
The
You've
Eel.
never heard that?
No.
Yeah, no.
That's the first time I've heard that. The Eel?
Yeah.
Are you trying to start something right now?
I'm a trendsetter, but I don't think so.
The Eel? You're saying the I is involved with the E.
Elite Ice Hockey League, no? Isn't that what it's called?
So what? You're just skipping out the ice and you're going right. What?
Eel,
EIHL. It's the same as when people call it the Dell. It's not. It's the DEL. You don't call it the Nahal. I just don't get it.
That just put your mind in a pretzel?
The Eel. But you're right. But I guess that's how it would be pronounced, right?
I think I've heard a couple people call it that.
No, you haven't.
I might have just made that up now. I have no idea anymore. So I ended up there, and because I wanted to give her.
I don't even know what I asked you anymore. I'm so confused.
How did I end up in
Oh, right, Elmira. Yeah, the Eel. I can't even hear you, but your mouth's moving. Talk. I can't hear you. What's happening?
Wait, can you hear me?
Oh,
now?
there you are. Yeah.
I think my computer was trying to go to sleep.
Don't do that.
Okay.
I know it's late here, but don't do that.
It says my internet's unstable for some reason.
Oh my word. I've had that message before too. It's not fun.
It's stabilizing.
Stabilize it. Get it there. Okay.
Anyways, I ended up in Elmira, where we just did a lot of bowling and rentals at Blockbuster.
Yeah. I remember the day in Daytona Beach, Ohio, when I didn't know about the show 24, and I found out about it when I went to Blockbuster. And boy, I would rent a disc, and then I went and rented one disc, and then I went back and rented like 6 discs, right? And then boy, I just crushed them. I just crushed Jack Bauer.
Those road trips too on the east side are brutal sometimes, those bus trips. And we were lucky to have sleepers. So yeah, my show was Mad Men and Breaking Bad that season.
Mad Men, eh? You got into Mad Men? It was real slow.
The worst part is like because the talking, the dialogue was so quiet, and I have a hard time hearing at times. I don't hear very well, so I had to just jack up the volume because they didn't have the headphones connection at that time in my sleeper. But former Devil Drew Paris would constantly, he's my D partner, and he would just constantly like, he's the nicest guy ever. It's like, Frankie, can you just turn it down a little bit? I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. And there might have been an edible or two before the bus ride watching the show, and it'd be like 10 minutes later, and I just
When is this you're getting
right back
edibles?
up.
What age, what year is this?
Elmira.
That's what year? Really? There was edibles around back then?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
If you don't know, now you know.
Well, yeah. Vex once told me it's crazy, Wally, what you didn't know. And it's like, well, how would I
Hey, man,
know?
I had trainers telling me that if you're gonna have a good time and be on substances, which by the way, if any children listen to this, I don't recommend it. It's a bad idea. Don't do it. It's one of my mistakes, But they would rather you have an edible than drink booze, because the recovery from drinking booze is way harder on your body than having an edible.
Huh. Weird how this came up in the shed. There's times you tiptoe around things and you're like, I don't know what I should say.
Is this too much?
No, I think I'm just gonna say what I think I should say, right?
Move it on.
No, is that guy that played for the Sheffield Steelers last year, DeLuca, got literally lost his job and kicked out of the league in the EIHL over weed, over cannabis.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you serious? Why? There's health benefits to it. Say you have chronic pain. Say that when you get home from a tough stretch of a professional ice hockey career and you got to go to some doctor's appointments because the BG's a thing in Germany, and you go to all these appointments, and Canada doesn't really know about all these issues. And they're like, well, what do you take for your knee? And you're like, well, I don't take anything. I've been taking painkillers for 10 years to play games and practices, and I don't want to do that anymore. And they're like, well, you should take something because you got issues. I'm like, I know, it's all I think about.
Right.
And then there's different, I didn't know anything about it. There's CBD that doesn't even make you high. It just makes you feel better. Then CBD makes you not feel the pain as much. And then you can think about other stuff during the day. Right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, it definitely helped me at times because those seasons were so long and grinding. And
but think about the guys that can't sleep after games, that drink to fall asleep because they can't sleep after a game.
Just wired, right?
Why not let them do something that's not as bad for you and not make them lose their jobs?
Well, not only that, but it helps with things, weirdly enough, because a side effect can be anxiety, but it helped with my anxiety when I knew I had, the next night, there was some dude who was a killer on the other team.
Ready to go.
I'd be thinking about it the night before. Oh my God.
I couldn't imagine falling asleep if I was you guys.
It was miserable at times, and I didn't even have to take him on all the time. It was just the thought of having to.
I remember thinking, God damn it, I got to play Frankie again tomorrow. That guy's a lunatic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so with the UK, like you said, it was so common, just to be handed painkillers. I just thought that was.
Well, it's the same in Germany.
Normal.
Think about how many painkillers you get over the years for
Yeah. But listen, I went to the UK, and I remember it was something happened in one of the first couple of weeks I was there, and I couldn't get to the team doc during the week, so I went to their version of urgent care or whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, this happened, and so I was just hoping you guys could get me something so I get through it for the next couple of days. And they looked at me and talked to me for the next half an hour like I was an addict. I was like, okay, well, if I can't get I don't know, Vicodin or something, can I get some tramadol or something? That's not even that bad. And they still looked at me like I had a drug problem, but that's
But-
all I knew from back home because that's what they would just give you.
Well,
And so like that was a
yeah.
transition was the UK because they view it very differently. And they're like, we're
Well,
not.
I remember at Western Michigan, right? Like our practices were very intense and we would be hurt. And and like you get painkillers to feel better.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, like for the people that don't know much about cannabis and are suspending players for entire seasons and making them lose their jobs is there's THC that makes you high. There's CBD that takes away pain. And you can mix them together, you can mix and match, you can do whatever you want, but CBD takes away people's pain and makes them feel better. And if you're not smoking it, it's not bad for you. So probably
yeah.
shouldn't lose your job over it. Just thinking
That
out
sucks
loud,
that happened.
right?
I didn't even know that happened over there. That's
I never knew what it
bummer.
was. I thought it was something way worse. And then I found out it was cannabis. And I'm like, you mean the store in town I could just go drive and pick shit up at?
Right.
That
Like
guy
a liquor
lost his
store, yeah.
job. That's like getting written up in the dorms at Western Michigan when you
Exactly.
can drink in Canada.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's happened to a couple dudes that I knew in the UK at some point or another. But yeah, it sucks, and unfortunately, you just gotta know where you're at because
You
definitely
gotta
wasn't,
know the rules, right?
I wasn't enjoying anything while I was over there like that.
No, I never knew anything
I switched
about
to
it.
Carling. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, ugh. Went down a rabbit hole there.
We don't know anything medically. What are we talking about?
Who knows? We're just in the shed chat.
Nobody should be listening to us right now.
So the year in Cardiff, 296 penalty minutes.
Uh,
And now he's a shed guy since I've talked to you last. I know that. Max Beerbrier. He only played 24 games that year and had 31 points. And I just wrote down beauty.
he's unbelievable. He's like the mayor of Cardiff. I felt like at that time he knew everybody in town.
And I had never seen him play hockey, and
he was an animal.
I knew they loved him, and I had heard the name, right? You know who they like, and like their names come up. And then I saw him play at the testimonial, and not that like maybe he's not the same. He was big. You could tell he could hit people. He could score. He was one of those guys that like kind of do it all, eh?
Yeah, he was literally that guy, the Swiss Army knife kind of dude.
Those are the guys that don't make it that can do too much stuff. You got to be like world class in like one thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely helps. Although hearing his story, because there was even some stories I never heard playing with him that he talked about with you, but I didn't realize how good of a career he had in North America too. Like he got up there, and to be that close to getting called up is pretty wild.
His whole story is very wild.
The one where he was talking about a practice
when the coach hit the kid over the head with the stick is the one I remember.
No, not even that one. The one where there was like some planes going over.
Oh, and they were shooting the missiles over their head. They were like playing two touch.
I never heard that one from him. I mean, I heard the one where he was marching backwards.
Well, and it's interesting, right? Over your career, like you hear stuff and you hear these wild stories, and then like it could just be on one bus trip, and then you forget about it, and you're like, and then you're like, I feel like he told me a story once, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, he was awesome. He was the kind of guy that you talk about in terms of just that guy enjoyed himself all the time.
He was making life fun, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
It is. Having fun is more fun than the opposite, right?
Usually.
It's like winning and losing, I guess you could say.
One's better.
Okay. Right. Anyways, Scott Dobbin was on your team. Did we bring that up last time, maybe?
I don't think so. We did a school program.
I just think of it because like coming up around here, they're with the kids now, there's like spring AAA teams and all that. Scott Dobbin was on my spring AAA team growing up. And I should have him to the shed. Yeah.
You should. We were roommates. We were
I
roommates.
think I've actually talked to him about it. He's like, I'll come on anytime, and then I get sidetracked.
We were roommates. Me and him did the school program together. So it was me, him, doing the school pro. We were the only ones doing that. And then me, him, and Piercy were roommates.
Really?
Jeff Pierce, yeah.
Jeff Pierce, you and Dobbs were
And
roommates in
honestly,
Cardiff. It's a small world when you're talking around in your shed. But did you guys went to Cardiff University, not the Met?
yeah, we went to Cardiff Uni.
Mm-hmm. That's 1 year program.
1 year program.
How was that for you?
I was a fish out of water, man. I was so stressed. It was the first time when we had some kind of business presentation. It was the first time I ever experienced anxiety and realized what I had to do in order to talk publicly about something. Like I actually need to prepare. I can't just wing it.
And that's what's interesting to me with the shed thing. Is I don't like speaking in public. I don't like speaking in front of crowds, but I can talk to you in my shed.
Can do this.
And then I can send it and be like, just pretend like there wasn't a bunch of people there.
Yeah, that helps out a lot. Sure.
Yeah, it makes it way easier.
Yeah. I wish we could do that in school. But yeah, Cardiff was really cool. And then Dobbs was just, I felt bad for him at times because me and Piercy, he was so mature at that time.
Was he? He was more grown up than you two?
Oh my God. And me and Piercy are just idiots at that time. And Jem knows him too, obviously, because I met Jem that year. And even she was like, he had to put up with so much. And he could tell you some stories that probably can't be shared.
And you guys, and you guys just got out of Western Michigan, right? And you guys would have been running amok. And,
we think we know everything,
right? And then he's like been a grown up. He's probably
he's been a pro forever,
right? And Western Michigan, you know what? We're having fun. That's what we were doing.
Yeah. I mean, we got on well. There were times where Pierce and I were probably the worst roommates ever, and I felt bad about it. And
I've been that guy too.
Looking back, yeah. But he was the nicest dude ever.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude. Yeah. I ended up playing against him too in Kaufborn. It's a small world, this hockey thing. Okay, so probably wasn't asking this question yet. It's cutting edge. When you played in Cardiff, did you go to Chippy Lane?
Oh yeah, I was there like a few months. When was I there last? A few months ago. Yeah.
You were in Cardiff a few months ago?
Yeah, I was right before you went for your.
What were you doing there?
Just visiting Jem's family. I think there's a wedding to go to. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So you go back, eh?
And we were at Chippy Lane. Unfortunately, the lines were ridiculous, so we went.
What time of day was it?
Five Guys. 3. It was Tom Jones concert.
You went to Five Guys when you're on Chippy Lane?
The line, it was right after Tom Jones, man. The line was insane. We couldn't wait any longer.
I'm not looking for excuses. It's not what I would do. They're overpriced.
That's brutal,
it's good, but you're on Chippy Lane. It's time to run amok. It's time to get into this, right? You don't go buy overpriced hamburgers.
I sold out big time. But to answer your question, I was a chips and curry guy.
It's just hard. It's hard to hear things like this as like a senior when you were a freshman. And then I hear you're going to Chippy Lane and doing that. There's people rotating meat on sticks all down that road.
Well, you can't be there for me at all times. Sometimes you gotta let me spread my wings, and I'm still gonna make.
Sometimes you just gotta let them out of the nest and see if they can fly.
Exactly.
Holy moly! Okay. Anyways, had I met Pat Curcio yet when you were on last?
Yeah. Sorry, Millie's coming up right now.
Is she coming to say hi? Hi, Millie.
Come say hi, real quick.
Coming to say hi. Oh, why not? I'm not mean. Hi, how are you? Whose birthday?
It was your birthday.
How old are you? Oh boy.
She's out.
She's out of here. Better let Dad go soon too, eh?
She's trying to pull me to go see Auntie Samantha is what she's trying to do. I'll be there in a minute, okay?
Yeah, we'll be quick. Okay, we're almost done. It's bedtime. Okay. Well, I don't think I have anything else. Do you? Like nothing
Oh, yeah.
serious. I just have random
Good.
questions. I'm
What
just
was the one
asking.
about Kurt? What was about one of them about Dog?
Well, I didn't know. I just thought you played the 9 games there, and then that's when you left to go to the Steelers. So is that when they went tits up, or did you just leave before that?
No, it was the year after they ended up. I think they folded. Was it halfway through the season of the second
Like in the
year? Did he say?
mid-season, all the guys had to find jobs, and like and that, but like that was his baby, right? He started
It
that.
was he and his wife. I think it was just him. His wife was like, "Hey, this is all you," kind of thing.
But he
But,
and he put everything into it, and it sounded like he
Oh,
had the guys he was recruiting. Like it was like, geez, you're recruiting a shed team.
it was top. You were treated as well as any elite league team could treat you, I think, or not elite league, East Coast team could treat you. We were at the Cow Palace. It was awesome. He gave us. We lived. I think I told you last time we lived at SF State University campus kind of area, and man, they spent some money on us, and it was awesome. I was with Jem, and so I was trying to find a way to get back to the UK too. And then I was also just wasn't sure the hockey stuff, like how I would say goodbye. But when it was a lockout year, so guys trickling down kind of made it easier for me to be like, all right, I think this is my chance to get out of here when certain guys are coming down and taking over, you know.
Those lockouts are a mess in hockey.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, you would. Anyways, we've covered your career. You went to Sheffield, anyways. But one thing I got a question about. Yeah, we even went to Australia, but we got to shut it down soon. We're gonna talk again, right? We still have the group chat.
We will. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Right, Vex. Gonna have time next weekend. I'm free.
Come on, Vex.
I'm just kidding. My kid was sick. I canceled one too, Vex. But anyways,
canoodling in.
The way you ended your career, you were playing with so many shed guys, and I think Ryan Finnerty that when Cardiff played Brayhead, those games were so intense, and it was as competitive as hockey got. Fitzy, Arson, Keith, Haywood, Stephen Meyer, like Railer, like there were so many great dudes on your team, but it didn't work out at the end of that season.
Yeah.
And that sucks because if you would have won it, you may have wanted to play 5 more years. You may have got to end it after winning, but like it just sucks, eh?
Yeah, and I think every guy's been on here mentioned the Edinburgh game. It was like the last of the 4 games.
But think about how many other games there were that season. It's like,
for sure.
But it's like Cardiff always brings up the game after the Challenge Cup win. So yeah, we won the Challenge Cup 2-1. And yes, we lost 11-1 later that week. And I may have had something to do with that. And yes, you're right. I got the boys in one, right? But you only win so many championships in your life. We had 50 other games to win other than that one, right?
Totally.
It's like that one game wasn't what did it. There were so many other games in November and December. It's like you just had to win one more game. It didn't have to be the game after the Challenge Cup because you know what? You only live once, and I'm gonna floor it.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many scenarios where we could have got an extra point or two. But yeah, obviously the one that sticks out is the last game that you're officially out kind of thing, you think. But
so if you won the game, did you win it?
No, but basically if we won all 4 games and the last 3 were, well, we had Edinburgh, Dundee, and then the last 2 were against Fife. So it was in our control. If we won all 4, it was ours.
But if I remember correctly, if we talk a month earlier than that, you guys were out front.
Oh, by a lot. Yeah. We got in some suspension troubles, which left, not that us guys that got suspended were like huge parts of Wayne losing, but like back then you're only playing 2 lines most of the time. and like 3 to 4D. So if one of your guys gets suspended that takes up ice time, you're killing your top guys, right?
Well,
So
and you know what I really appreciate about you is that you got to be one of the most competitive dudes I know, and our battles with Brayhead at Cardiff, like us, just the two of us, is a great memory for me. I think it's hilarious, and sometimes I
yeah.
could just giggle about it, and it's like, and there was this, both teams were doing that against each other.
Mhm.
And it wasn't just us with our own little battle. We all had our own little battle with each guy. And
For sure.
those games were so much fun,
For sure.
but then you go
Intensity.
play Edinburgh and it's not the same thing. It's not, and you're saying that's what's weird about the EIHL. And like, you end up losing the league because you lose to Edinburgh. But like those games, Cardiff against Glasgow, is when champions are
love it.
made in my eyes.
And it's also where those are the games you just love to play in general, that you think of when you
They
look
get your
back.
juices flowing.
Yeah, like those are the ones that you really enjoyed playing in when you were nervous. Like there was times when I had no heartbeat in Edinburgh.
Oh,
It's not that I wasn't competing, but
take me
I
to the
just
Hull
had
Stingrays, and it's like, good Lord.
I had no heartbeat, but yeah, those are the games you enjoyed playing. But that was one of the funnest teams I ever played on, funnest seasons. And I knew,
I can imagine you had a great time.
The guys were awesome. I knew I was done after that year before the season even started, so I was really able to just really take it in and enjoy it.
Why did you know that?
I mean, Jax was born towards the end of the season before, and
But Gemma's from the UK,
yeah,
right? So that's going to be an adjustment for her to say, okay, I'm up for moving back to Canada, and setting up a whole new life and being on the other side of the ocean. Like you said, you just went back there, which is nice. You guys can afford to just fly over and be there, right? Like that's
very fortunate, yeah,
right. And it's like,
for sure.
once it's, I don't know, like that would have been, how did you know? Why was it already done?
My body, it was just getting a lot harder. There was two main ones, and one was like it was just getting a lot harder for recovery. Like my knees are pretty bad. I have to have now. I've had my second surgery in a couple of years, and I have to have a third. Like it's not a knee replacement, but it's similar to a knee replacement. And so it was just getting harder on the body to get ready for the next games.
Yes.
And
some of the people they were bringing over to play in that league, it's like, is this worth it?
You got to keep up. It was tough. And then at the end of the day, like it just long term, now that we have a kid in the picture, it's like I'm just not making enough money. And I don't know if I want to start a career.
It changes
35.
your whole outlook on everything when you hold those little buggers in your hands. I remember the first time I held Colby and I was like, so I guess it's not just about me anymore. I gonna have to take
Right.
and it's like,
exactly.
And then you start thinking, it's like, well, I'm in the second league in Germany. It's not really sustainable for life.
That's it for sure.
Yeah.
I remember getting asked by one of the guys in the office who had just joined that year, Jerry McLaughlin. And so we got to go to Champions League the year before or the next season. And he's like, Frankie, are you sure you want to be done? Like, doesn't the idea of Champions League does not alone want to make you play? And I was like, it was an easy no, because not that Champions League wouldn't have been a huge deal to play against those guys, but like there's so many moments of the course of my career where I got to play in some pretty cool scenarios. And I was happy with that, like that was cool for me.
It's good to know when you're done and like be okay with it. There's so many guys that have to be done and they're not okay with it and not okay with being done. They haven't got it out of their system. Like, I think when you're going to be in a better mental mindset.
I think that's right. Yeah. I mean, it was still very nerve wracking doing something completely different. I was still very nervous about that. had no idea. I had an idea, but no idea at the same time. And the first 6 months were super hard.
That's when you start pulling out wood out of the dump and building things.
Exactly. Yeah. Getting the
Man,
hobbies
those
you
first
never
6
thought you would
months
get.
can get weird.
Yeah, for sure. I almost thought about calling Finner back and be like, "Hey, man, I can't."
Yeah,
do this.
you're like,
Gonna
what?
work."
I was like, what am I good at? I'm like, I work for a carpenter and I suck at being a carpenter, so I better figure this out.
I remember hearing your episode with the 2 guys that hired you over at the plant over
Yeah.
there, and when you went in for your interview, and I'm like, oh, that was totally me being like, in the interview, is like, oh, what makes you think that you can do this gig? And I'm just like, oh, I had these skills from hockey, and I'm sure those guys at the time are just like, sure, I guess that
Right.
I just like, yeah, I'm gonna give you the job. It's an
Yeah,
entry level
see
job,
what you
so
do.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hockey does teach us a lot. Think about the skating you did. Think about the skating I did, but then what you had to do extra, that we can mentally get through that and push ourselves that far in the real world when things are going bad and things are going wrong. It's like, is this really that hard? I'm pretty sure we can figure this out, because it's not as hard as some of the things we've had to do.
That's exactly it. When you put yourself through the paces physically that much, it's a mental grind. And I think that's a huge takeaway from the hockey career into the real world, is just your idea of what hard is different than other people.
But and this is just one facet, right? When we're saying we had no skills, I had no skills. I didn't know anything about the industries that I'm in now, right? And it's like, but like there's only one way to learn shit.
You go full tilt, which
you
is what we
just
did
give
in the
her,
sport of
right?
hockey. Go for it. Yeah. And you're not afraid to look like an idiot, because that's what makes you look
well.
better.
And then you got to have like confidence in what you're doing, but like confidence comes with like doing it, right? And like showing you can do it. And
I mean, basically what we're saying is we're just awesome human beings, and it doesn't get much better than us.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that one.
No, didn't win at Western Michigan, folks. We did our best.
Yeah.
Though, right?
I've never won anything. It's overrated. I'm still happy.
Oh, shoot. But seriously, you're one of my favorite guys in the world and teammates. And I actually was a bit scared of you playing hockey against you. And I like this way more than playing hockey against you.
Heck yeah. I love listening to almost every episode. And I'm going to continue to listen to all episodes, especially those British ones. I love listening to those British guys, John.
I know they're just dandies over there. Yeah, absolute dandies. And that's how this whole thing works, though, is there's a whole bunch of dandies out there. And I missed them all a lot when I was home. And people like talking to people that are in the same shit as them. And I don't know. What I found out here, and that like we can set this up within minutes and have like this would have been this is one of my funnest nights ever. And like I can do this all the time. It's crazy.
You got a cool thing going on, man. You got a pretty awesome hobby.
They call it running amok, folks.
Running amok.
And this has been another episode of 2 Ales and Hockey Tales with Frank the Tank and Wally.